Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do another this or that video. This one was actually requested by a subscriber. I actually really like doing these videos. A lot of you guys seem to like them as well. They're some of the videos that do the best on my channel. A specific request was to compare the Meritt Solo Shadows to the WESTMAN Atelier Eye. So let's get started. I decided first to swatch and demo them, and then I'm going to compare them, talk about their wear time, talk about how they apply, and talk about which one will be best for you. I have my lids all prepped and ready, so I'm gonna do the Meritt on this side and the eye pods on this side. So for its full disclosure, I did get the Meritt Solo Shadows together with the Solo Shadows brush from Meritt through PR. This was quite a difficult thing to get because Meritt doesn't actually ship to Europe, so I had to get a UK address. So one of my friends living in the UK, they sent the eyeshadow and the brush to him, and he got it to me here in the Netherlands. So it was quite an operation. So this was sent to me by the brand. Midcentry has a 5 ml net weight and a 6-month shelf life. Pretty difficult to open, by the way. If you're going to just look at packaging, it's only one eyeshadow, and you have a click system that you have to abide by. The click is very important. This way the shadow doesn't dry out. Now the click system, although it's hard to open, it does vacuum seal everything, so mine still feel fresh and nice. I really enjoy how this looks. Meritt sent me 2 eyeshadows. I had this one and I had a deeper shade. I decided to gift a deeper shade to a friend of mine because I really enjoyed Midcentry all over the eyes. I'm gonna go in with a brush, and the first thing you'll see is that the shadow underneath is sort of almost, it's very creamy, but it's like a hard cream, and this is how much you're gonna pick up if you swirl a few times. It picks up a lot of product, and I'm using the Meritt brush, but any dense brush will do. You can also use your finger, of course, to blend out the edges. And you can go in with the other side of the brush, pick up a little bit like a liner to do the under eyes. Of course, you can build it up. This is Midcentry on its own, no mascara. On the other side, we're gonna go in with the eye pods. To compare these, I'm gonna use the iPod Systems Toujours, and the one that I really wanna compare it to is another brown, but the iPod System Toujours has a deeper brown like this one. Brown that I'm going to be using, this one, this is the beige color. I think this is the closest to the Midcentry color, and it has a bone color for, you know, to highlight some features. So I'm gonna put the bone color and the brown color to the side, and I'm just gonna dip into this shade. I'm gonna go in with the Refer 15 brush and just swirl it around like I did with the Meritt shadow, and then I can show you guys how much pickup it has. Let's swirl it a little bit more because, as you can tell, it has a less pickup than the Meritt shadow. This is what we're going to be working with. So let me use this eye to compare. You can use a dense brush as well. Typically, I feel like these will go best with a dense brush. Going in with your finger is also fine. The issue you would have with finger application is because it's a pod system and the edges are really high. If you have long nails, it'd be hard to dig in with this one. A smaller brush, pick up some of the product and use it on the bottom lash line. Check out beige on this side. Since beige is so light, I am gonna go in with the deeper shade. This is the shade Café Crème from the same set. So these do come in a set. And seeing if I can deepen out the outer corners a little bit to give you a better vision on how this would look. Because you do get 3 for the WESTMAN Atelier, whereas the solo shadows are of course a solo. Going in with the solo shadow again, deepen out the outer corners on the side. So this is the solo shadow on its own, deepening out the outer corners, kind of building it up. And these are 2 shades of the WESTMAN Atelier iPods in Toujours. One more Toujours shade to go. Let's go in with the lightest shade, putting a little bit on the inner corners because this is part of the set as well. And also lighten up the eye and of course the brow bone. The Toujours set comes in 3s, and it's also a click system. It's an easy open and close system. They're magnetic, so they easily come apart, and you can use them to travel with. And if you like one singular color, you could also just travel with one of the colors. These are sort of its own little thing. They're not fully a cream. I would describe them as a clay putty-like formula because they pick up a little bit of product. It's really soft. You can't really see what you pick up because it's very malleable. So you just kind of rub the pigment off of this clay. Whereas with a traditional cream to powder, like the Solo Shadow, you see what you're doing. You see that it is a cream. So if you're going to go over it with your finger, you're actually disrupting the shadow in itself. And you can actually see your brush or your finger marks in it. So although they apply very similarly, formulation-wise, they are vastly different. And I never thought to compare them myself. But Meritt and WESTMAN Atelier, they both come into this kind of luxury, beauty, clean space. So it makes sense that these brands are often compared. But the formulations I would consider very different. I would say that the Solo Shadows are a perfect cream to powder formulation. And I would say that the WESTMAN Atelier Eye Pots are unique in the industry right now. And they're sort of like little clay pots. It's important to note that both of these also have a difference in price point. Of course, you can kind of argue that the Solo Shadows, they come in 3 pods, and each pod has a shelf life of 6 months, similar to the Solo Shadows, and a net weight of 0.8 grams. Whereas the Solo Shadow has a net weight of 5 milliliters, but also has a 6-month shelf life. So the shelf life on both of these is very short, and if you're wondering why, I think both brands do promote minimalism. So the idea of both of these is all you need is one of these systems to make you happy. I think for the slogan of Meritt when it comes to Solo Shadows is this is the only eyeshadow that you need. Of course, both of them also are for the eyes. A lot of eye products like mascaras or liquid shadows, they also have a 6-month shelf life. It is very short, do not get me wrong, but it's not unheard of. And I admit I have the Solo Shadow for longer and I still feel like it looks and acts and smells the same as when I had it the first time around. So they're both quite expensive, one more expensive than the other. We've both seen how they apply in the demo. Let's talk a little bit about what they look like after application. The Solo Shadow is first. This is quite a soft eyeshadow formulation. It doesn't pack too much pigment, but you can build it up and definitely create some gradients. I used to have the deeper color and I wanted to use it as a liner, but I'll tell you that I thought it was a bit too lightweight as a liner. These are definitely one and done shadows, and this Midcentry shade I find incredibly flattering. You can get a lot of color pigment payout, you can still do a little bit of a gradient, and my eye kind of just looks decorated. I still am not wearing any mascara, but it looks good on its own. I can put on some mascara and go out the door and feel like I'm wearing sufficient amount of shadow. Also great about these is it has a dry down, so the way that this feels, it feels like a powder shadow. It's just kind of budge proof, and even after washing my hands to just accommodate to this video, the Solo Shadow is the one that keeps on keeping. So this one is quite budge proof. As someone with oily eyelids, I really enjoy this formula. I still need to wear this with an eye primer. Without an eye primer, these do crease on me. I want to say around the 6-hour mark, so there is creasing, but it's quite a foolproof formula, and I've seen a lot of reviewers say that theirs doesn't crease. This is definitely a me problem. A lot of, maybe all of them, a lot of cream shadows crease on me. So on its own, for the wear time, I'm actually very pleased with the 6-hour wear time. But if I use an eye primer like I did today, I'm using one of the Lisa Eldridge liquid shadows, I think that this will last me all day long. And I do like the way that this looks. I'm very happy with the Solo Shadow, its performance, and overall working with it, easy to use. It's easy to blend. You don't need a lot of elbow grease to blend this out and make it look pretty. It's a very intuitive product, very pretty, great dry down, and a good longevity. Let's talk about the eye pots from WESTMAN Atelier. A little bit of a different system, like I said. We've already talked about what this looks like, and surprisingly, it's even more sheer than the Solo Shadows. The Solo Shadows are very light in pigment. These, I would say, sheer in pigment. So you're going to take a while to maybe build up some coloring. It's not necessarily a bad thing, guys. I actually find this being an incredibly beautiful eye. To have this kind of sheerness, it might be your preference, because it is sort of my preference as well. It doesn't really look like I have much on the eye. At the same time, it kind of blended itself out. It really did its own thing. It was hard to mess up. And a sheer eye like this is currently what I'm thriving in. So I've been using these eye pods for a while, especially in the Toujours shade. The Toujours are the only ones that come in the matte formulations. The other one have a sort of metallic suede formulation. I quite like the matte formulation, but this isn't for everyone. Kind of sheer eye is, of course, a little bit bland. I think a lot of people will be like, oh, I have eyeshadow shades in similar colors that just perform better. I understand. So there is a specific customer that would like a very sheer eye like this. How you would get something like this is you like a sheer coverage moment. You want products to be very easy. You enjoy this idea of having an iPod system, and you enjoy all of the colors that this iPod system has to offer. In terms of wear time, this is a difficult one because I'm gonna be honest, and especially when you see me actually wiping down and washing my hands, this doesn't have a wear time that I can stand behind often. Although I really like the eye, I definitely have to prep my eyes to make sure that these iPods last on me. So again, Lisa Eldridge liquid eyeshadow is what I use as a base, and this way I can ensure that this looks good on me all day. If I don't prep my eyes, there is a lot of creasing because it is sort of like a clay. It's a putty type formulation, and my eyes are hooded, so the putty kind of wants to stay in the little crevices. So going back to Solo Shadow from Meritt versus WESTMAN Atelier, both of these I would consider similar customer, but you're gonna really look at what your needs are. I think you're gonna choose the WESTMAN Atelier if you like very sheer coverage, if you like the 3 colors that this one has to offer, and you have kind of not oily eyelids. You don't have hooded or oily eyelids, or you're okay with prepping your eye before going into this purely because you enjoy the system and you enjoy what the eye looks like, because it is pretty. Even though it's sheer, I'm not gonna lie, I use these all the time. And I like that I don't really have to think about applying these, how it's gonna end up. They always end up beautiful, pretty, and the way that I envision my makeup to look. When it comes to the Solo Shadows, you're gonna like these if you are a makeup minimalist. You're looking for that one perfect one and done shade that is buildable, that is a cream to powder formulation, and can last you quite a while. I would consider this a more universally friendly formula. I think more people will enjoy this formula over the WESTMAN Atelier, also taking account, of course, the pricing. Yes, the Solo Shadows are expensive as well on its own, but there's something about the Solo Shadows that make it worth it. You look at the Solo Shadow on its own, it is flattering, it was easy to blend, and it has a lot going for it. I like both, by the way, so even though this was gifted and this wasn't, I do really enjoy both, but I definitely think you don't need to have both. Consider the longevity of these shadows, the wear time, the pigmentation. You can definitely find one or the other with these two. I hope that this was helpful for you guys, and I hope that I was able to demo both of these products so that you can make a great buying decision if you are looking into both of these. My affiliates are going to be down below for both of these. I have a feeling I have a Meritt, a specific Meritt code. I'll link it down below. I'm not really sure. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you did like this video, and also check out some of my other playlists. I think I have a this or that playlist if you like these style of videos. And of course, have a happy, beautiful, healthy day, and I'll see you guys the next time. Bye!